Welcome to Waypoint Real Talk, where we discuss real estate and your home. Let's get started with your hosts, Aaron Shishilla and Austin Hines.
All right. So we have Christopher Freyre.
Yeah, Christopher Freyre with Freyre Real Estate here. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. We're a humongous fan of Waypoint, the entire crew, from the inspectors to the owners to the ladies who answer the telephone and take our reservations. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal. You go out of your way, extremely thorough, but not alarmists like some of these overbearing inspectors can be.
Right.
You guys really take the time to educate our buyers and sellers when we do get you guys to do an inspection for one of our listings. So we appreciate everything and in totality.
That's an awesome plug.
Yeah.
For the first ever podcast that we're bringing on, Chris, when I first met you or first talked to you on the phone, I knew that you were a fantastic fan. And to be honest, since we're on recording now, I must say you are not what I expected when I first met you just outside this building.
Well, I appreciate that. I try to come with our own style. For me, it's all about the customer. I mean, it's customer service.
Right.
I think the reason that I try to give so much customer service is because as a customer, I demand excellent customer service. So when I find another company that really thrives on that, being customer first and customer centric, it
Right.
really goes well over with us. It really does.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today because, when I first had that initial interview with you, I really learned a lot about how you're so focused on customer service. And I think a lot of realtors, as you mentioned, they may get into this for the money or they may think it's easy money. You just sell real estate, but it's not about that. I mean, you were telling me you were staying up till 2, 3 in the morning to answer phone calls for some people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Whenever we get a text, I'm the type of person that if something's bothering me at night, I can't really sleep. I can't turn it off. Mm-hmm. So if I have somebody who may be up and has a question, I'm going to make sure we go ahead and take care of that. The real estate industry right now is at its peak. We're pretty much gotten to seeing the numbers where they returned before the crash in 2006 or 2007, but right now it's doing really well, and the customer service is number one for us. So we try to push that all the time.
Right. Okay. Well, I kind of think we should kind of get started here. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Waypoint Real Talk podcast. My name is Aaron, and with me I have...
my name's Austin.
Austin Hines. Awesome. Well, we have joining us today Christopher Freyre. Now, Christopher, can you give everyone a background about where you come from, why we have you here today, and what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. About 8 years ago, I actually got injured. I was a head driller for an engineering firm doing subsidence testing, and I had gotten injured, broke my collarbone. Thank whatever powers that I was wearing my hard hat that day. But really got into the real estate industry. My father's been doing real estate since 1982. My older brother's a developer. He does land development and things of that nature. And we are actually opening Freyre Real Estate to be a commercial outfit, to do commercial real estate. And when I got involved, I fully immersed myself. There were some people that were doubting. I was telling people that I was going to get my real estate license. And like, oh, real estate's horrible right now. Why would you do that? But it really allowed me to sit down and take my time, since it was slow, to really fully immerse myself in the educational part, to be able to have that confidence, to be able to assist people truly with their purchase or their home sale. So this way they're more prepared for anything. I think if something happens and somebody was prepared for it in the beginning stages, it's not such an event.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't overwhelm people as much if you know what's going to happen. So that's where we come in. That's where I enjoy it from. But 8 years ago, we're going to start commercial. I started, really learning things, and I had already had a grasp on a lot of good intel and already working with people in the business. I had done construction before. I had owned a granite countertop company. We did waterproofing for second-story balconies and decks. So I already had the experience to know about home construction, what to look for, what's not correct, what is correct. So that's the biggest thing I think now that gives us the leg up versus other brokerages or other agents is that I have an extensive construction
Right.
background to
Yeah.
not only be able to help you with the real estate side, but also to know what to look for even before you guys get out there, on the site.
So what's the actual year that you started real estate?
2012 is when Freyre Real Estate came on board. I got my license end of 2012, very early 2013.
And for new agents out there, I know the first question that comes out of their mouth is, what were sales like for the first year?
Sales for our first year were abysmal. I mean, we really did nothing. Like I said, I had done really well from the engineering, so it wasn't a rush for me. It wasn't something where I had to go out and really make some money. So I did have a lot of pillow, I guess, or softness
Right.
to land on from what I was doing previously. But it is definitely a lot of education. And your first year, most people that do really good in real estate, when they start off, they use their sphere of influence. So friends, family. If you can start with that, that's my best advice for you. Probably the second piece of advice, if you're going to be a new agent, is talk to absolutely everyone. Don't go anywhere and not talk to anybody. Talk to everyone. Talk to a grandmother on the bus, anybody in Walmart when you're walking around. A lot of the times people will tell you, well, for your mileage on your taxes, you got to be working. Listen, every single place that I go, and this was taught to me by my father, absolutely everywhere you go, talk to anybody and everybody you can about real estate, and you're always working.
That's got to be honest, from my standpoint, I don't know how you feel about it, Austin. That sounds so annoying to have to do.
Sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
It is, and it's it's an acquired taste. But for me, I think the one thing that I learned from my father is that he's always willing to talk to people. Always say hi to start out the conversation. You don't want to kill them with too much kindness in the beginning and hit them with the real estate right at first. But
Give him your business card immediately.
yeah, absolutely. Hey, how you doing? I'm Christopher. But it really is important to talk to people. I mean, now in the times that we're at, people are distancing each other, but
Right.
the best thing is to have communications. I mean, it's the only real way that you can build a relationship with anybody is if you communicate.
Right.
you know.
So first year sales abysmal. Going into that, you didn't have many sales. So what kind of mindset did you have for that year, the first couple years, to say, I'm going to keep on doing this? At what point did you fully commit once you started?
Absolutely. Going through taking the licensure test or taking the course to become a licensed real estate agent really has probably nothing to do with what you're going to do on a daily basis. The biggest thing for the license, for the real estate license, is a lot of laws, what you can do, what you can't do, what your customers should do, what they can't do. A lot of detail in law and ethics and procedure as far as state laws, penalties, things of that nature. You really don't start learning real estate until you get hands-on and you're actually involved in a transaction. There's more than 35 people that touch the transaction between, the buyer agent, listing agent, loan officer, loan processor, the underwriter. Those are just, quick off
Right.
the top of the hands. And then you guys, the inspectors, the appraiser, the surveying people.
The marketing manager of Waypoint.
Absolutely,
There you go.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So by the time that you get involved with all these people that are touching your transaction, there's a lot that goes on. And everybody says, oh, real estate, or what are those realtors don't do anything. Come sit with me for a day. And I guarantee you, 9 out of 10 agents, I'll have your head spinning by the end of the day.
Yeah. You're just constantly on the phone.
Constantly on the phone. You constantly get updates. I mean, there are times where, I might have a 4-hour span to myself. But other than that, it's the constant little updates that you have to go through. You can have nothing to do at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then by 11 o'clock, all of a sudden you have 25 things that you have to do and a bunch of people to reach out. And that, of course, has to do with your workload. But very fortunate that we've been able to have the word of mouth support. For our real estate, we don't do any marketing. I don't pay for advertising. We
None.
don't. No, none. Anybody that utilizes the word lead for us kind of turns us off a little bit.
Really?
I don't want to be led into anything. You know,
Mhm.
if you have a referral for me and you have a family and friend, yeah, absolutely, give me the referral.
Which
but if,
I think that ties into customer service.
yeah, it really does. I mean, the best thing for us is we've been able to provide top-notch customer service, which allows, or not only allows, but it pushes our customers to want to tell their family and friends how we were there for them, that we answered the phone for them all the time, how quickly we responded to the emails and the texts. I can't always answer my phone. You know, there are some times in a day where people are indisposed, but it really, I don't want to say infuriates me, but I get annoyed when I miss a phone call. So, you know, like right now I got my phone off. So if I'm missing a phone call, I apologize whoever's out there, but we're going to take your call as soon as we get off here.
So,
But
go ahead. Did you
yeah,
have
no, it's really been beneficial for us. I can't say how blessed we've been just with the outpouring of support from people that we've worked with in the past.
Right. And what I've learned from talking with a bunch of different realtors, is especially the ones that have or become successful, which I think I mentioned to you, is that everyone has their own niche as far as what they do. And what's interesting about your service is you're just so focused on customer service. And that's all you put forward. So can you tell us, you know, the different parts of your real estate to how you touch customers in a customer experience way and delivering them that top-notch customer service? How are you doing that?
For us, it's just preparation. For me, I guess education, communication, preparation are my kind of three underlying factors that I try to push for that customer. We specialize in residential real estate. I don't do any commercial. We specialize in single-family home, single-family residential real estate. Our niche is we don't really have a particular customer. Our niche is we actually share half of our commission with our buyers. So when you're a buyer and you're purchasing, let's say, a $400,000 new construction home and the builder's offering 3%, that's a total of $12,000 in commission. Our buyer actually gets $6,000 of commission with us.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, we see through testimonials and such and just outpouring, we see that people actually tell their friends and family more about the way that we've approached the situation. We're there for them, educated them, helped them through the purchase or the sale of their home, way more than they even tell their friends and family about us giving the commission rebate. So that in itself is just justification that, we're doing a really good job on that part.
Right. That's funny because, you talk about the rebate and you think, oh, that's why I want to go with Chris, is because of that rebate, because I want the money, especially as a new home buyer. I would say I need to buy furniture. I can't even afford my down payments, and now I don't even have a little nest egg in case something like the COVID-19 comes. So having that could be super helpful. But as you mentioned, nobody seems to really, at the end of it, I don't want to say care about it, but they care more about the person that they're dealing with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We take the time with our customers. My father wasn't able to make it today because he's an elderly gentleman. We're kind of sequestering at home. But learning from my father, watching him since 1982, I grew up. My father worked for the post office, retired 34 years. He worked night shift all the time. And during the day, he would help his family and friends. And I not only got to grow up watching my father help family and friends, but I got to watch him take care of people financially, mentally, physically, help them through their transactions. And it was always, if you look through a lot of our testimonials now, a lot of people mention, hey, Chris and his father. And I don't know where I would be without, my father. He's been a fantastic influence. He's definitely my hero in life. I've been blessed to have two wonderful parents. My mother's no longer here as of 7 years ago now, but I was blessed to have fantastic parents, and I couldn't ask for, a better set of parents. So that all wrapped up together, I think, is what people really appreciate, and they actually recognize that, we really do take the time to care. I never, ever harp on the rebate. As a matter of fact, we get a lot of calls where, people are telling me, hey, such and such referred me to you, and then I'll start to tell them, and then I ask, hey, did such and such tell you about the rebate? And they're like, no, what is that? So I'm pretty certain that most of the people that we use aren't concerned with the rebate as much as the customer service that we provide. We're there for everything. We're there for the inspections. We try to be there for any kind of walkthroughs. With the new construction, you're going to have more, like the pre-drywall construction, the final walkthrough, and things of that nature. The only thing we don't attend is the appraisers, because we've kind of noticed that the appraiser tells you, hey, I'll be there Wednesday at 12, and then I'm showing up, driving from Lando Lakes to St. Pete, being there Wednesday at 12. I'm waiting there an hour, and then I call the appraiser's office, and they're like, oh, no, I got done early yesterday, so I did it yesterday. So we really stopped attending the appraisals. But as far as the inspections, like with you guys, we're always there. We want to be there as an advocate for our customers if they can attend. I normally tell them to attend towards the end, kind of leave the inspector alone, let him do his thing for the first part of the inspection. But you guys do a wonderful job of giving a summary at the end for the customers when they're there. So we appreciate that wholeheartedly.
Another plug.
Yep.
Another Waypoint plug.
Take it.
This guy's awesome. I love him.
We try to be. We feel the same way.
So I know we talked previously, having this customer service. What could new agents do, or people that are thinking about becoming agents? Obviously at this time is a very difficult time. So can you give me an insight as far as what you're doing right now because of everything that's going on? And then could you also give us insight into, for those new agents that are looking to become realtors, what can they be doing to separate themselves besides having their niche? But for the customer service part, obviously attending everything. Can you talk a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple things we're doing is we kind of moved to the photography side of things. I was attempting to do a lot more video as of a couple of years. Everybody's doing video now, so that's one thing that you really want to get on, and make sure your video is informative, educational. That's probably the best advice I can give you.
That's really great advice.
Yeah, especially now, we're doing through this whole thing. Everybody's on the virtual tour. There are now more 3D walkthrough platforms than we've ever seen before. Vimeo, Matterport. There's tons of little gadgets that can take 360s of rooms and things of that nature. So that's kind of where we're seeing.
Coffee.
If you guys, thank you. If you guys can, spend some time educating yourself on some of the technological aspects of being a realtor, I think that's going to be your best bet nowadays. Everybody's going towards the iBuyer and kind of all of that convenient stuff. Don't overpay for convenience. Convenience is convenience, but when 25% is what it costs you for convenience, that's too high of convenience for me. I'm about at the max with the government taking 20% of our earnings and things, which I don't care because I love being able to drive down the road. We got street lights, stop signs, so I got no problem paying taxes as long as I'm getting a return on something, But as far as a new agent, the best thing I can tell you is educate yourself. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the best way to educate yourself is to get a hands-on experience. If you're not there dealing with the people and talking with the people and going through the transaction and knowing which form and which step that you have to go through, it makes it a little more difficult. So if you can really find an agent or somebody who's been around for a little while to kind of sit with them and listen to them while they're talking, it's
right.
The best thing.
And you had your dad for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My father's helped a lot. Just like I said, being able to watch him, how he reacted to people, how he treated people. My father is probably the nicest, calmest person in the world for the most part. But when you push them buttons, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So, how he's been able to approach people is really where I got to see. A lot of the part too, dealing with customer service is I've owned a couple businesses in the past, so you kind of get used to working with different people, interacting with those people. Always treat everybody like you need them. Never treat anybody otherwise, because you never know. 3 years down
Right.
the road, that person has the leverage and power, and that's just what you got to deal with sometimes.
So going back to technology and video,
Mm-hmm.
do you think with these whole iBuyer situations, do you think realtors are ever going to die out?
I don't think so. You're never really going to get rid of that personal touch. It's when you're one-on-one with person, you can. I grew up in. Well, I didn't grow up, but I did a lot of phone sales, and I always heard that you can hear a smile through the phone, and even that personal touch where you might not be in front of somebody knows your tone and your attitude and your demeanor over the phone. So for the most part, I don't believe the realtors will ever die out.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's going to become a little more convenient, just because we're just getting into now where a lot of these lenders have what they call mobile or paperless closings, where you don't have to show up. But to be honest with you, most of these papers have to be signed anyway. A lot of the digital before, where you would sign everything, at closing you're still going to have at least 3 or 4 pages to sign, because they need that wet signature. VA just, I believe, a year and a half, 2 years ago, they finally just started accepting e-sign platforms with like the DocuSign and things of that nature. So it all takes time. You can't really, you can't push that ship. If it's too big, you can't push it in a certain direction. But I really think that realtors will be around for a while, just because you get that personal interaction, somebody to be there for you, a lot less FaceTime, so to speak, face to face and things like that. But the realtors are always going to be there to help people.
Right. And I think that goes with your customer service. I mean, you can't get the same customer service with Zillow or Realtor.com that you can with Christopher Frye.
Yeah. No, we definitely pride ourselves in that. Zillow is a great tool. I'm the first one to say, listen, out of our last 150 customers that we've helped, 140 of them used Zillow. The other 10, probably 2 on Redfin, couple on Realtor.com, couple on Trulia, and your different platforms. But it just comes to its ease of use. I mean, Zillow's got it locked down. Realtors hate Zillow, and listen, my profile looks fantastic on Zillow. I haven't paid for my free profile. Again, we don't market on Zillow. I'm not a premier agent.
Right.
I just don't believe in those things to pay for leads. But I got no problem with Zillow. They're starting their iBuyer thing. You just have to be careful with some of the newer ones that are out there for convenience, because it's not convenience. We had 12, between 10 and 12 people actually. They were interested in selling. I asked them specifically to reach out to vendors. I'll say Open Pad and Offer Door. It's not really correct, but those 2 in particular, we did have some sellers reach out to get quotes. A few of the time, they wouldn't even accept the property because it was in a flood zone or within a school zone, or a couple of different avenues where they wouldn't accept the home,
Right.
the age and things like that. But for the most part, we saw anywhere between 14 to 24%, and this is actually us selling the property. For example, we had one. The guy was going to net, after all said and done, with the convenience, new revolutionary way to sell your home, he was going to get $150,000, $150,000. We ended up selling the townhome for him for $192,000. He walked away with $188,000 when all said and done. So that's $38,000 right there that we got him versus the revolutionary new way, because they say it's the revolutionary new way, but to be honest with you, that's no different from the we buy houses cash or we buy houses quick. To me, it seems like they prey upon people who are in undue circumstance. Those kids who inherited their home from their grandparents, or somebody who's in a dire circumstance. Like right now, I need to sell quick. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck and I can't afford my mortgage next month. I need to sell this week or I'm going to lose it all and my credit gets shot.
Yeah.
So some people are in that circumstance, and it's well known to be undue circumstances. And I really feel like those are the people who need a realtor's help the most. Because listen, the normal average consumer doesn't even realize that there's a difference between a realtor and a licensed real estate agent, okay? So when on these commercials you hear that such and such is represented by a licensed real estate agent, that doesn't mean anything. Realtors have a code of ethics that we need to follow, what we need to do, how we need to act in public, how we need to approach people in different situations. Just because you have your real estate license, that doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being a realtor really puts you in an upper echelon of people who, most of the time, realtors are full-time agents. Not that I have anything against part-time agents. We have a few part-time agents that do very well. But it's all upon the person or that agent's organizational skills, how they set up, how they approach each aspect of the transaction. And it's hard sometimes. I mean, most things like appraisals and inspections and things of that nature, they're all done during the day. So if you have a full-time daytime job, it's really difficult to be a part-time realtor. But I know some who do very well.
So going back to Zillow and Realtor, it seems like the agents that are doing well don't pay any money for advertising. Now, would you recommend a new agent do that, or just continue focusing on their sphere of influence?
I would focus more on your sphere of influence, because in the beginning, the less money that you spend, the better off you're going to be. I know a couple offices who spend in excess of $10,000 a month in Zillow, and they're like personal family friends for years with us. And
$10,000 a month.
Yeah, more specifically, probably now over $12,000 a month. But they do. You have some offices out there who, they're the experts, the home of the real estate experts. Meanwhile, 30% of their agents have zero experience, but they're home of the real estate experts. So that's another thing we try to do. I don't try to categorize ourselves as experts or anything of that nature. I mean, I learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's a quest for education so that I can, prepare, like I said, preparing our customers and getting the education on. But as far as Zillow and spending the money on all those leads, I wouldn't spend money on anything. I wouldn't spend money on anything referred to as a lead. I just won't do it. There's very few companies that actually will perform before they ask for payment. And if that's the scenario, I'm sorry. You want to prove to me you can perform first? No problem. I'll give you all day. I'll give you 3 months to perform. But if you don't perform, I'm not going to come out of my pocket. It's just how most consumers are. If I'm not getting anything beneficial, why am I really going to utilize that service?
Right. That's a pretty good way to go about business. So to kind of conclude here, or to wrap it up, can you tell me about what you're doing for the coronavirus? Because obviously everyone wants to hear about that for realtors. And then gold nuggets for people getting started into real estate, and gold nuggets for buyers.
Okay. For the coronavirus right now, we're kind of sitting still. We have a lot of people who are calling in probably more in the last week than ever before, saying, hey, we're going to step back. We might wait until this kind of blows over. Some people in our listings are just requesting that the home's temporarily taken off the market, kind of while all this passes. Hopefully it passes. Hopefully they can get a vaccine or something here pretty soon. So how we're handling that is just following up with people, keeping in touch. For us, a personal thing is I'm always trying to personally reach out to people, whether it's on Facebook or on my phone. Hey, happy birthday, congratulations, it's been a year, 2 years, 3 years, and just keep in touch with those people. The worst thing you can do is just help somebody and then kind of disappear and fall off the face of the earth. Some people are harder to get a hold of than others, but we really try to do that. Gold nugget for
New agents.
New agents. Gold nugget for new agents. Educate yourself as much as possible. I mean, if you're not educated, you can't help anybody. You can't help yourself. If you're not educated, you shouldn't be helping anybody, period. Go to all of these free courses and classes that all of the associations are giving. There are tons of title companies out there. There are tons of lenders who are constantly doing lunch and learns. If you don't take the time to go to these lunch and learns, especially you new agents, it's hard. Like I said, our first year was abysmal. We didn't make any money. But if you schedule yourself properly, there is not a day that you will miss breakfast, brunch, or lunch going to all these lunch and learns. You don't ever have to pay for breakfast and lunch.
Paid
Stop
for by
going to
Waypoint.
Yeah,
We always
exactly.
hear how much agents love food, and you're just reinforcing that.
Thanks
No,
a lot.
absolutely. well, it is. I mean, if you're going to have somebody in the class for 2 to 3 hours, I think a little bite to eat is something good. But it's one of the things that I always tell new agents. Hey, listen, take advantage of this. Not only are you going to get that free meal, but you educate yourselves. And that goes way beyond, the food aspect of it. Because now what happens is, as you're talking with people, something should click in your head. Hey, I heard about that. Let me give them this piece of advice, or this is what I can say for that, or hey, I've heard about this. Second nugget I'm going to give out there for agents: never, ever, ever say that you know something that you don't. If you do not know something, tell these people straight up, listen, I don't have any information on that, but I will get back to you. Making someone believe that you know something that you don't is unethical, it's malfeasance, and it really shouldn't be done. And to be honest with you, it's the easiest way you can lose trust with people.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
Yeah, it really is.
Going back to the food, Austin mentioned this amazing, I wanted to get your input on it since we mentioned it, how realtors love food. They come to these events for food. But it's Chick-fil-A Nuggets for Agents campaign. What do you think about that?
I will tell you that the only thing I eat from Chick-fil-A are the chicken minis.
The chicken minis.
And listen, it really it gets on my nerves sometimes when I get the chicken minis and the bread's like really stale and hard. They should be nice, soft, and buttery. Chicken nuggets. I mean, Chick-fil-A is a great establishment. Their food is probably they're the original home of the chicken sandwich. I know everybody wants to try the Popeye sandwich. Too greasy for me. And listen, I'm Latin, so if that thing's too greasy for me, forget it.
Popeyes actually caused the coronavirus.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. But
yeah, because they started competing with God's chicken.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
No, listen, I love I love spicy food in Louisiana kitchen. I got nothing against Popeyes, but when it comes to chicken sandwich, I remember being a little kid, and we used to have to drive. Back then, it seemed a lot, but I guess it's relevance. We used to drive from Town and Country to Eastlake to go to Eastlake Mall, which at that point in time, when I was a younger kid, was the only Chick-fil-A location in Tampa. And I remember those days very vividly and very well, sitting in the food court and just watching people. My mother loved to watch people, but I do remember it's very good. Them and Villa Pizza was our two go-to things there at Eastlake Mall, so good memories.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's fun with food because it just instantly makes people happy.
It does. A lot of good connotations. I mean, a lot of ethnic backgrounds. For you to share a meal with someone is, it's a ritual. It's inviting. It's really probably your most vulnerable time when you're sitting there sharing a meal with someone and just talking about life, family, wanting to care about people. That's probably another thing I got my father's really, really caring about people.
Yeah.
Not just asking about your kids' names just so that you know the names, but later on, 3, 4, 7 years down the road, hey, is such and such still playing baseball? How's Maggie doing? How's Timmy doing? And everybody's doing good in school. How are your parents? So that is I've really been blessed. We've been very fortunate.
I think if anybody has to learn anything about it is if you carry the customer service and the thoughtfulness that you all do, I don't think that there's a chance you would fail in real estate.
It's the biggest thing. For us, it's really caring. Like I said, when something goes bad, when something goes bad for the day or something, I can't sleep. I have to get it done. Being proactive for me has put me in some scenarios because somebody asked me to do something and boom, it automatically gets done. And then they'll be like, "Hey, you think we can change this?" So some of the times I'm so proactive that I have to do things 2 or 3 times over again. But when you really care about people and you're really trying to do a good job, it shows. You can't fake being a real person. I mean, you may be able to fake it for a little while, but if you really want to be in it for the long haul, especially in real estate, you really have to take the time and care about people. Because if you don't care about people, I mean, really, what are you doing? You're supposed to be here helping and educating the people. I mean, it's one of the foundations of being a realtor versus a licensed real estate agent. But it's not easy to pass that test. Most people have to do it 3 or 4 times. But even aside from that, you truly and genuinely caring about people. One of the things I always tell people is, hey, listen, I won't allow you to buy a house that I wouldn't live in myself. If it's got problems, I don't want you living in it. We normally go in there even before, we call you guys or go into contract. Sometimes we see 10 or 12 houses. We might go into a house. Some houses we don't even make it to. Some houses got 0 curb appeal. The neighborhood's horrible. The neighbors' lawns are all a wreck. There's cars outside that are broken down, and we just give the little, keep going sign in the military where they do the little circle, like keep it rolling. But when we do find a house that people like, you can tell by their body language when they walk through the door. And I always tell people, too, with the listings, make sure it's bright and airy. Nobody wants to walk into a dark house because when they walk into a dark house, their head goes down, their brow scowls, their shoulders come in, and you can tell they don't want to be there. If somebody's actually coming in and walking into a house and their head is up and their eyes are open and their chest is open, they like the house. I can tell within the first 3 or 5 seconds of that person walking in the house whether the house is going to work or not. Now, if I do see their body language changing and them, you start seeing the wheels turn and you start seeing people, my couch is this long and it could fit there and the TV goes on this wall. That's when you know, hey, this is a house they like. What I start doing at that point in time is I start going, open the cabinets, flushing the toilets, running the water, going and checking the age of the AC, the water heater, the air handler. I mean, all of those things that we do as realtors that I just don't open the door, tell them to go inside and let me know what you think. No. We go the full extent. We go past what your normal standard operating procedure would be for being a realtor, which is to just let me know if this house is properly and not, priced properly or not. But we actually go that extra step to make sure that everything is in good order, to make sure it doesn't smell like mold or mildew because, this is Florida. We have high humidity. There's now one single home that's older than 3 years that doesn't have some kind of mildew in it somewhere. Your attics, especially during the cool parts, a lot of moisture. It's cool. It's dark up there. It happens. People freak out sometimes when they see, growth on the outside air handlers, which are in the garages. It's not such an abnormal thing being here in Florida to see when the unit's outside like that. So all of those little tiny things that you need to look for, what wood looks like when it's already deteriorating and somebody did a piss poor job of caulking it and repainting it, tapping the windows, knocking on the walls, all those little things that we do that,
Go
a lot of
above and
people
beyond.
don't. Yeah, a lot of people don't.
Yeah. Well, I think we're running lower on time here. So I'm going to open up the floor. Austin, if you had anything you wanted to add here.
I just want to say thank you for joining us. This is our first official podcast. Off camera, we were having some fun trying to get some equipment working, and Chris was like, I got all day. So appreciate you joining us and helping us out with it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Listen, anytime you guys need us, we're around. Once again, fantastic Waypoint property inspections. If you guys need an inspection out there, make sure you call them. Don't waste your time calling anybody else. We've been through them all, and we know who truly cares and who doesn't. Fantastic, small, family-oriented, family-owned company. Like I said, we can't speak enough in reference to everybody. Austin, his father, Bob, Aaron, who's here with us, marketing manager, Crystal, that's in the office, our favorite inspectors. We love everybody, but shout out to Oscar, Eddie, Wilmer, everybody. We love you guys, and thanks for having us. Appreciate it so much.
This is amazing. I can't thank you enough for coming on this podcast and
Thank you.
learning more about you, and especially just having you on the phone and then actually meeting you today has been amazing. So thank you again for coming onto this podcast and being a part of our first step into this journey. And hopefully there's going to be tons more to come, tons more podcasts, but we'd love in the future to have you come back and we can check in again.
Absolutely. Would love to. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you.